I can guarantee that you have been using at least one of these perks wrong. What is going on, guys? My name is Kyle and welcome back to another Dead by Daylight video. In today's video, I wanted to make a list of 10 survivor perks that you are probably using wrong. If you're an expert in DBD, you might already know most of these, but for the rest of you, this might help you out a lot. If you guys enjoy this and want me to do more, feel free to drop a like and subscribe if you're new. Anyway, guys, let's get right into the list. Coming into the 10th place spot, we have Fixated. So a lot of times when I'm playing solo queue, I'll see survivors that are just walking around the entire map for the entire game. Don't do this. Just don't do this. Fixated makes your walking speed a bit faster, and that means that a lot of survivors tend to just walk around the entire map because why wouldn't you? If you can walk fast and you don't have scratch marks, why would you not? Okay, here's why. If you walk around the entire map, the entire game, you are basically giving the killer more of an advantage. You're not walking at sprinting speed, so if the killer is chasing someone on the complete other side of the map from you and you're still walking around the entire map, you're basically getting to your objective slower than you normally would. The most ideal way to use this perk, even though it's really not that good, is to use it in chase. Let's take a situation where you're at Shack. Let's say you vault the window and then the killer decides to not vault the window and they actually go around. You can walk for a little bit to try to get your exhaustion back. Fixated allows you to still maintain a bit of distance while you're in chase, but you also get some exhaustion back in the process. If you watch any of the unlimited exhaustion perk build videos from Aaron or JRM or any of those guys, they'll have Fixated on, and you'll see what I mean if you watch one of those videos. All right, the next spot is going to Soul Guard / Unbreakable. This is a combination of perks that people use a lot because Soul Guard allows you to take a hit when you get picked up, and Unbreakable lets you recover faster. So in combination, you can recover faster, and then if there's a Hex perk, then you can pick yourself up so many times. It's one of the best anti-slugging combos. But did you know that it has to be in a specific order for it to actually work? Soul Guard needs to come before Unbreakable. If you don't have it in this specific order, then if you're cursed with a Hex, it'll actually use your single use Unbreakable instead of using your unlimited use Soul Guard. So if you don't use it in this order, you would only be able to pick yourself up once through the trial. But if you do use it in this order, then you'd be able to pick yourself up multiple times. I actually don't see many people using this combo, but it is something to note if you are. All right, the 8th spot is going to Spine Chill. So Spine Chill is the ultimate I'm gonna go hide in a corner perk. If you're using Spine Chill, use it as information. Don't use it to run away from wherever you are. A lot of people when they start playing will use Spine Chill because it's a free perk, but then whenever they see it light up on the bottom corner, they will either walk or run away from where they are because they think the killer is coming to them. You have to keep in mind that if the killer is chasing someone, they will occasionally look in your direction. So if Spine Chill is going off, but if it's very short, quick flashes, then they're most likely in a chase. If, however, Spine Chill is lit up for probably more than 2 seconds, they're most likely coming in your direction. At that point, yes, you can get away from there, but also try to keep in mind that there is the terror radius. If the perk is lit up and the terror radius is getting louder, then obviously they are getting closer to you. But if it's not a stealth killer and they don't have any undetectable perks and your Spine Chill is lit up for a little bit, they may not actually be coming to you. They may just be chasing someone. So you just really have to use all the other information in the game to make sure that you're using Spine Chill to its best potential. Also, it does give you a boost when the killer is looking at you. So if you're really close to finishing a gen, try to stick it because you'll have that extra percentage of a speed boost. All right, the 7th spot on the list is going to Smash Hit. So my biggest tip for this one is don't use it. Literally just use Lithe instead. The reason being is because what Smash Hit does is it gives you a sprint burst after you stun the killer. So for one, you need a pallet. So if your teammates used a pallet, then you're not going to get any use out of this perk. 2, you have to stun the killer. So if it's a killer who respects pallets, meaning that they don't walk through it if you're near it to try to avoid a stun, then you're never going to get any value out of it. And 3, which is my main reason for not using this perk, is because you can literally get the same exact value out of Lithe. So what Smash Hit does is it gives you a 4-second speed burst, I believe. Every other exhaustion perk is 3 seconds, but Smash Hit is 4 because it has to take into account the time it actually takes to throw down the pallet on the killer. However, if you just use Lithe and you get a stun on the killer, you could just vault through the killer while they're stunned, get your Lithe, and then you have that extra 3 seconds of speed anyway, on top of the possibility that the killer won't even break the pallet so that you could use it for later. This is called dumb teching for those of you who know about it. Dumb teching as Lithe is basically the same exact thing as using Smash Hit, except except the killer might not break the pallet. And then if you have a friend with any means necessary, they could pick up the pallet again and you could just do it constantly. But the reason I wanted to bring this up is because with Lythe, you wouldn't be restricted to just using pallets. All right, the 6th spot is going to the infamous Urban Evasion. So obviously my biggest tip would be to just not use this perk because it's really bad. However, I know there are people out there with stealthy playstyles who want to use this perk to Urban Evasion around the map and, you know, do their thing. However, if you are gonna use Urban Evasion, you need to know how to use it properly, because just like Fixated, if you don't use it properly, it's actually helping the killer more than it's helping your team. Use it during chase to get exhaustion back up, or use it to avoid the killer when they're close to you, if that's your playstyle. So for example, if you're near someone that's hooked, you can use Urban Evasion to go around cover to try to get closer to the unhooker before the killer even spots you. This also helps if the killer is camping, because you're able to get close to the person and maybe get a borrowed time playoff before the killer can actually down you. Another note, if you're using this perk, this is very, very specific, but against a few killers, crouching is actually their counter. So if you're playing against a Hag or the twins, use this perk when you know there's a trap or when you know that Victor is idle. Because as Hag, if you crouch over her traps, they don't actually trigger. So pretty much always Urban Evasion to someone on the hook, because there's most likely a Hag trap there. And then for twins, Victor doesn't give Charlotte any information if you're crouching. So if the twins are camping someone on the hook with Victor, you can quickly crouch around him, or you can crouch up to him and kick him. But please, whatever you do not Urban Evasion on the opposite side of the map when the killer is nowhere near you. If you don't hear a terror radius and you know that it's not a stealth killer, there is 0 point in Urban Evasioning in the corner of the map. All this does is frustrate your teammates, because you're basically not helping the team, you're not contributing to the team, and you're also making it easier for the killer to win. Next up on the list, we have self-care, and this is basically a very similar situation to Urban Evasion. Self-care is hated on a lot, but it's actually very helpful in certain situations. You just need to know when to actually use it. You're much better off bringing a medkit, because it does the same exact thing as self-care, except it's faster and it doesn't take up a perk slot. But self-care can be extremely helpful in certain situations. You should not use it every single time you get hit. If you use self-care every single time that you're injured, you're going to be wasting so much time that you could be spending on doing gens that you're most likely going to lose in the long run. So only self-care when you need to. And this honestly goes the same for if you're using a medkit. Only heal yourself if you need to. If you know that the killer is chasing someone on the opposite side of the map and you have a gen that's like 75% and you know the killer has pop, finish the gen before healing, because then the killer can't pop it. If you're going to get saved and the killer is like proxy camping, like kind of staying near the person on the hook, then you can heal yourself so that you're able to unhook the person relatively safely. Or if you're in the end game, this is where self-care shines, because now when you're in the end game, like when all the generators are done, you basically don't have any reason to not self-care. So just know when to use it, know when to prioritize gens or other things over yourself. If you know teammates are coming to you, don't self-care, do a gen instead, and then when the teammate's there, then you can heal, because then it's faster. So just please, every time you get hit, do not run to a corner and self-care, because all that does is helps the killer. Okay, the 4th spot is going to Resilience. Resilience gives you a 9% speed boost when you're injured, and this is a pretty good perk if you know how to use it properly. The best thing I would say is to use it with Spine Chill, because that's a very good combo that makes you vault 15% faster. But if you're using it on its own, the biggest thing I would recommend is using it with a medkit. If you're just using Resilience on your own, it can be good, but if you have a medkit, it makes it exponentially better. What you can do is heal yourself to 99% with a medkit, and then you're still able to get the speed boost of Resilience. So you're still able to do gens 9% faster, you're able to cleanse totems 9% faster, you're able to heal others 9% faster. And then if the killer gets close to you and they start to get in a chase with you, you literally just hold right click or whatever it is on console to heal yourself for that tiny little sliver of percentage, and then you're back up to full health. So it's like you were healed the entire time. This makes it so that you can use Resilience almost twice as much as you would otherwise. And it also keeps you safe because you have the option to heal yourself in an instant. Another thing to think about with this perk, if you don't have much experience, is if you have 2 injured people, if you and someone else are injured and you're trying to heal, if you have Resilience, heal them first, because it'll be faster, and then they can heal you. This will just save you some time in the long run. Okay, the last 3 perks are actually some of the best perks in the entire game, and you still might be using them a little bit wrong. Number 3 is going to Iron Will. Iron Will makes you completely silent with no grunts of pain when you're injured. A lot of people will just throw this on and just not worry about it at all, but you actually have to kind of think ahead and think of where the killer is positioned and how you can actually utilize Iron Will to get the most potential out of it. Think about it. If the killer is on the other side of a wall, they don't know where your location is if you have Iron Will. So with this information in mind, use this to confuse the killer. For example, if you're on the outside of Shack and the killer's on the inside of Shack, try to start running to a loop near Shack instead of staying at shack, because then the killer might think that you're still at shack depending on where they are, and will spend a little bit looking for you only to realize that you had already left, and then you wasted more time for the killer, which means more time for your survivors to do gens. Or if you're a little more advanced and you're using like flashlights, for example, Iron Will is extremely good. Let's say you stun a killer and they start to break a pallet. What you can do is blind them. You can basically walk around them and walk straight towards them, and 90% of the time they'll just walk forward while they're blind because they just assume that you're running away. But if you're running through them, then you're creating almost double the amount of distance between you and the killer. But also when the killer becomes unblind, then they have to look around and try to figure out where you went until they realize that you went through them, and then they have to make their way all the way back to you. And because you have Iron Will, if you're injured, they can't actually hear you go through them, so they'll most likely get really confused. It also works really well if a killer vaults a window and then you blind them while they're stuck in the animation of vaulting, because then you can go around the killer and then take the vault that the killer just vaulted, and they won't know until they hear you actually vaulting, and at that point, they're on the complete opposite side of the wall. This can help you in so many situations if you're cornered in a dead zone and you have to get to like a pallet or something on the side where the killer was. This basically allows you to switch positions without him even knowing, and it also puts a wall in between you guys, which helps maintain distance if you have to get to somewhere really quickly. Okay, the second spot is going to Adrenaline. So Adrenaline is actually both a defensive and an offensive perk. Most people, however, use it defensively, which yes, it's still good, but if you use it offensively, it makes it twice as good. What I mean by this is if you're using it defensively, that means you kind of just let it happen. So if you're being chased and you're injured and then the gen pops, then you get healed and then you run away. That's defensively. Offensively would be to go put yourself out in a dangerous situation because you know that your adrenaline is going to pop soon. This is much easier if you're with friends because then you can coordinate it. So for example, if you have someone on the hook and the killer's camping them, you can 99 a gen and then have your friend near that gen. And then you, if you're healthy, go towards the person on the hook, get hit, unhook them. And then when you get hit, your friend will pop the gen, you'll get another health state. And then if you have borrowed time, then the person that got unhooked will also have another health state. And it just basically gives you an extra health state to get out of any sticky situation. This is especially helpful in basement situations where the killer is camping in basement because they usually will hit you at the top, which basically guarantees that you're going to go down in the basement. But if you have that adrenaline ready to pop, you're going to get hit at the top, get a speed boost to go get the unhook, then pop adrenaline and have a speed boost to get out. It can just make for some really, really good plays and help your team a lot. You can also use it just to take chase from people. If you know that the last gen is about to finish, then go look for the chase and try to take a hit for somebody. Like if there's a Nancy on death hook and she's being chased and you don't have any hooks, you should already be trying to take a hit for her, but you can go take a hit for her and get adrenaline, and then you can both get out of there. Adrenaline is one of the strongest perks in the entire game if used properly. And when I see people who use adrenaline, I don't see them using it correctly. And finally, the last perk on this list, which is the best exhaustion perk in the game, this is Sprint Burst. Sprint Burst is probably the most complex perk to use on this list, even though it seems pretty simple. What most people will do is they'll walk around the map trying to get their exhaustion down so that they can use Sprint Burst if the killer gets close to them. Just like Urban Evasion or Self-Care or Fixated, this just makes your time management worse, which actually helps the killer in the long run. So don't do this. Do not walk around the entire map. You want to basically pretend that Sprint Burst isn't there. By doing this, you'll actually be able to use it much more than you realize. If you walk around the entire map, you'll use it maybe like 3 times. But if you know how to use it properly, it's by far the best perk in the entire game, even better than Dead Hard. So one of the main techniques is to 99 your Sprint Burst. This basically means to have your exhaustion timer go all the way 99% empty, so you just have a little sliver of exhaustion left. Now that you have this, you can sprint around the map without any worry about wasting your Sprint Burst. And then if the killer gets too close to you, then you walk for like half a second and then you start sprinting again, and then you get that Sprint Burst because your exhaustion goes down. This is one of the best techniques to get a ton of distance from the killer. It lets you have a normal chase, and then if you mess up in chase, rather than dead harding like 3 feet and then using a pallet, you can Sprint Burst and get to a completely separate loop instead of using that pallet. You do have to know how to manage your exhaustion to get to this 99 point, which is why, in my opinion, you basically want to pretend that you don't even have Sprint Burst, because then you're playing the game like normal. You're doing gens, you're healing people, then finish your objective until you get that 99, and then try to take the aggression off of someone else. The most effective tactic in this game is to have distance, and Sprint Burst basically creates distance whenever you want. Just like Fixated, you do actually want to try to get Sprint Burst as much as possible, so if you're in a chase and you have distance, start walking. It can be for 1 second, it can be for 2 seconds, it can even be for half a second. But as long as you're safe and you're walking every so often, and you know that you have enough time to get to a certain resource, whether that that be a window or a pallet, then you're going to be able to slowly bring down your exhaustion. And if you're able to do this enough in chase, you can 99 your sprint burst in chase and get sprint burst again. Let me know in the comments if you guys learned something new, and also put a food emoji of your choice so that I know who stuck through the entire video. And if you did enjoy it, feel free to drop a like and subscribe if you're new. Also, I stream every Tuesday, so go drop a follow on my Twitch. And I think that's all I have for you today, so I will see you all in the next one. Peace.